Looking for the perfect electric rice cooker for your kitchen in 2025? We've tested and reviewed the top 5 best rice cookers you can buy right now, covering everything from everyday convenience to advanced cooking features. Whether you love fluffy jasmine rice, perfectly crisp tahdig, or high-pressure Korean-style rice, there's something here for every home chef. Let's start in this video top 5 best electric rice cookers review.
Number 1.
The Automatic Persian Rice Cooker is built to do something particular and different from all the others on this list: make flawless tahdig. Tahdig is the ubiquitous crispy layer of rice at the bottom and top, when you turn it over, of many preparations of Persian rice dishes. It is also notoriously difficult to master. The goal is to end up with fluffy, separate grains of basmati underneath that crust, which must be evenly crunchy and beautifully golden brown. I'm an avid home cook, but rice was always tough for me, and that's part of why for a while I avoided cooking a lot of Persian food, says writer Arya Roshanian, who chronicled his foray into using the pars for Vox last year. Funnily enough, his mom and grandmother both used one, and it was during the pandemic that he finally decided it was time to get one himself. In fact, he has two now, the smaller 4-cup he started out with, and a larger 7-cup he uses to make tahdig for a crowd. It's user-friendly, he says, something that my 85-year-old grandma who only speaks Farsi and isn't that good at technology can figure out. The first time I used it I was thinking I would need to try a few times in order to get it right, but it came out pretty perfectly, and then each subsequent time, too. It regulates temperature so it never burns. The insert is lightweight, which is nice for turning over. I still oil the bottom a bit because tahdig needs to be a little fried, but everything is non-stick so it's super easy to flip out and to clean.
Number 2.
Zojirushi NS-TSC10 Rice Cooker. Since I got my hands on this Zojirushi a year ago, my rice has been evenly tender and fluffy every time I use it. I tend to mostly make sushi rice and long-grain white rice like basmati or jasmine, and the machine excels at both. I've made brown rice a few times and even tested out quinoa and farro to much success. The reason for this is thanks to what the brand calls fuzzy logic, or a built-in microcomputer that can sense how your rice is cooking and adjust the time and temperature to get a perfect result. I don't totally understand the mechanics, but it works. For the grains that don't have specific settings, the brand has this incredibly helpful guide, and a quick Google search will yield instructions on any type not listed there. I've also used the included basket to steam greens and, as Carla Lally Music taught me, perfect potatoes. And, I think it's worth noting, I've left my rice on the keep warm setting for as much as an hour and a half and, remarkably, it doesn't affect the texture at all. Strategist senior editor Winnie Young has let hers sit even longer, up to 4 hours, and says the same. When all is said and done, both the steamer and the inside bowl are a breeze to clean. You pluck them out, and any residue rinses right off. My biggest disclaimer, it takes quite a while, about an hour, to cook the rice. Other models, and even making rice on the stovetop, are done in closer to 30 minutes. But for consistency and texture, it really is the best. But don't just take it from me. In my reporting, Zojirushi came up more than any other brand. It has a fancier model with even more settings that multiple experts mentioned. You can read about that one further down on the list, but this one, especially given that it's less than half the price of the other, makes for an all-around great buy. Food writer and recipe developer Kiara Wright Ruiz had to leave hers behind recently when she moved out of the country and told me it's the thing she misses the most. I'm sure people have said this before, but it really is the Lamborghini of rice cookers, she says, noting that even if you add too little or too much water, it will self-correct. You get a consistent texture with a margin of error. Another particularly appealing feature is the ability to preset when you want your rice to cook. You can sync it to be done at the same time as other foods, says Wright Ruiz. Like if you're braising something that takes 3 hours, you can time it so that the rice is done right when your braise is done. Or if you want rice in the morning, you can set it before you go to sleep and it will automatically start so you have rice ready to go when you wake up. Finally, though perhaps not the most imperative to the rice itself, Zojirushi's machines play music when you start them, an adaptation of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and when they're done cooking, and it's clearly delightful enough that everyone who recommended the brand.
Number 3.
Cuckoo CRP-P1009SB pressure rice cooker are the most common ones you'll see in Korean households. I bought one because that's what my mom and aunts use, says Joanne Lee Molinaro, better known as the Korean vegan. When you go to the Korean grocery store, you see a bunch of cuckoos all over the place. Molinaro uses hers, a slightly older but similar model to the one listed, primarily for brown rice, which she and her husband eat most, as well as mixed rice, the setting for which she uses every time she combines grains. With Korean rice, a lot of times it's not just rice, she says, explaining add-ins like soybeans, farro, pearled barley, and even chestnuts and sweet potatoes are fairly common. For food writer Justine Lee, who has the more recent model, the multi-cook setting is where it stuns. Multi-cook essentially turns the appliance into a pressure cooker and allows you to adjust the time and heat level. Both are as easy as dialing the knob to set, Lee says. It's how I steam a bunch of Korean sweet potatoes right before road trips and quell my bean hankerings come summertime. I've even followed recipes fitted for a traditional instant pot such as cinnamon buns and yak bap, which can get sticky. But cleanup with this rice cooker is a breeze across the board.
Number 4.
This KitchenAid grain and rice cooker not only turns out perfectly cooked rice but also makes it easy to cook other types of grains and beans to the ideal consistency, every time. It was a recent find for strategist contributor Kiki Aranita and one she was surprised to love as much as she does. She already owns several dedicated rice cookers in various sizes and has still found this a useful addition to her kitchen, high praise. Aranita's first test was a long-grain brown jasmine variety that turned out just right, she says. The cooker features ultra-specific settings for 21 various types of grains and beans. While I haven't used it, these seem great to me. The Zojirushi I have will cook non-short grain rice well, but it takes a bit of Googling and some trial and error to figure out exactly how to do so properly. Aranita says she hasn't soaked beans independently of the cooker since she got it, and every batch has come out at the ideal level of doneness, nary an overcooked, broken bean in sight. And she calls it absolute magic with quinoa. You never have to think about the water level in the tank because it dispenses exactly what's needed based on your selected setting. You can let it know if you've rinsed or not, and it takes that into account. You can also tell it if you add your own liquid, like a stock, so that it knows not to dispense any water at all. It comes with a steamer basket to set inside for a one-and-done dinner, and all the components are dishwasher safe.
Number 5.
This Tatung rice cooker, ubiquitous in Taiwan, works like an electric steamer. Instead of mixing rice and water directly together, the Tatung heats water in a larger compartment around the bowl that holds the rice. This generates steam and helps the individual grains cook super evenly. But it also means that you can steam other foods, like eggs or broccoli, without boiling them, says food writer Kathy Irway, whether that's on a tray set on top of the rice or without any rice at all. Journalist and cookbook author Clarissa Way grew up with a Tatung and bought her own a few years ago. She says the cooker emits a very gentle heat, which is ideal for making silky egg custard and creates distinct, fluffed-up kernels of rice that aren't too sticky. And Yun Hai owner Lisa Chang Smith, who sells the Tatung in exclusive red and green colors at her shop, says her grains turn out springy and bouncy. And she uses it to make soups and stews, and to delicately reheat leftovers. All three experts note that the simple on and off switch is a plus. I don't need a ton of buttons to do this thing or that thing, Irway says. After the first time or two making rice, you know exactly how long it takes. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button, press the bell icon and comment below. Check out the description to find the product links. Thanks for watching.